again, class 7th, our past 2 and unit 2, kings and kingdoms. I would like to first take the approach of summarizing what is there in the chapter and then run through the NCERT book. Something very important over here is, apart from the notes, I would like you to check down all the maps. And one common understanding what happens is, when we are talking about history, we often talk about various kings and kingdoms. Our assumption is that, like, how is this kingdoms coming? How are the kings becoming kings? Is it that father is king, so son becomes king, or some other somebody comes and takes over the kingdom? How is that happening? Was India any one country, or there were many kings or kingdoms? Did they consider it as the way we consider today as a India or a union of states, or what was the various uh, generation of kings ruling at the same time? So when we understand that part, you will be able to appreciate why in our history there's a whole lot of complexity when we travel from whatever the period line we have given, that ancient to medieval. Okay, here this era which we are talking about, 700 AD to 1700 AD, if you remember the last session, here you will see lot of kings and kingdoms coming. So your understanding of India map has to be very clear, especially the terminology of that time era, which helps you to understand and relate various answers, various questions. Now, major kingdoms in the 7th to 12th century will talk. The new dynasties emerged, and post 7th century development, warriors, chiefs, and landlords emerged across the subcontinent, gaining power and wealth, leading to the formation of new dynasties. These emerging rulers declared themselves Raja, king, and eventually sought independence from their overlords. Rashtrakutas in the Deccan region would be current Hyderabad region, and Kadamba Mayura Sharman and Gurjara Pratihara Harichandra are examples of Brahmanas who took up arms to establish kingdoms. So in ancient time, we had studied Kshatriya were the ruling kings. Brahmana were the educated, or Brahmana doing the rituals and activities like that. But here you will see examples of Brahmanas who taking up arms to establish kingdoms. Who are them? Rashtrakutas, Kadamba Mayura Sharman, and Gurjara Pratihara Harichandra. So some of the major dynasties and their control. Gurjara Pratihara ruled Gujarat and Rajasthan. Rashtrakutas dominated the western Deccan, Karnataka region, and that south of Hyderabad, if you see. Palas controlled Bengal. Cholas were over Tamil Nadu. Chahamanas or Chauhans ruled the Delhi Ajmer region. Now, kings and administration, various titles and governance. All this is there in the chapter, but as I have summarized. So, new rulers often adopted titles like Maharaja, Great King, and Triloka, Lord of the Three Worlds, to assert their authority. However, these rulers shared power with peasants, traders, and brahmanas who participated in governance. Revenue was mainly collected from peasants, cattle keepers, artisans, and traders, with taxes like vetti, forced labor, and kadamai, land revenue. You have to understand that how are these kingdoms getting money? How are what they are doing? They are taxing their own people. The way today we have taxes, these taxes had were also existing during that time. Now they collected it from who were the main people in the population. They were peasants, cattle keepers, artisans, and traders. So there are various taxes named accordingly. Prashastis and land grants. Now, prashastis, these terminologies were the royal inscriptions that detailed the achievements of kings, often written by Brahmanas. Now, these inscriptions praised rulers as victorious warriors, even if the claims were exaggerated. Now, land grants, kings rewarded Brahmanas with land recorded on copper plates and granted rights over resources like water, gardens, and wells. Now, warfare for the wealth. So, what was the struggle going on, fighting going on during that time? So, there was a tripartite struggle between the Gurjara Pratiharas, Rashtrakutas, and Palas. And they fought for the control of Kannauj in the Ganga Valley and a highly prized city. So, remember this we have also seen in the Alidarsi's map. He had mapped in 12th century Kannauj. Then were like somebody like Muhammad Ghazni, you would have heard of him, who raided around 17 times, and somebody who plundered the Somnath temple, and he built his capital through plundering Somnath Ghazni at Ghazni. So he plundered around 17 times between the year 1000 to 1025 AD. Now imagine these plunderers were finding it very convenient to come over this part of the country, India, today's India, and take off the wealth what they have accumulated. You also need to understand these part of India were so wealthy that even if you was plundering 17 times, they were able to build up resources and wealth every time. The rise of Cholas. Now, Vijayalaya Chola, a minor chief from Urayur, he conquered the Kaveri Delta from the Muttarayar and established the Chola dynasty by founding the town of Tanjavur and building a temple dedicated to goddess Nishumbha Sudini. Then came Rajaraja I Chola, known as the most powerful Chola ruler. He expanded the kingdom significantly. He also reorganized the administration and was followed by Rajendra I, who continued expansion and development. As my own personal experience, every person in this country, Indian, who calls themselves Indian, they need to visit a place called Tanjavur, see the temple architecture, and understand what is building kingdom means, how the governance and development of a kingdom started. Cholas are the best example who generated wealth when the arts and craft prospered, trades prospered, and definitely what we call today as global trade entity, India, the global power. They were the one who supremely developed the naval power of Chola dynasty and were trading with countries or other countries like Thailand and Indonesia, Java, Sumatra. So, uh, yeah, coming back, the Chola temple and art, architectural and sculptural excellence. Temples in Tanjavur and Gangaikonda Cholapuram are examples of architectural masterpieces. Chola temples become centers of economic, social, and cultural life, fostering craft production and particularly bronze sculptures. Agriculture and irrigation in Chola Kingdom. Irrigation innovations. The Kaveri River and its tributaries enabled the development of large scale agriculture in the region. Embankments, canals, and wells were developed for irrigation, supporting the cultivation of rice and other crops. Administration of Chola Empire, village and administrative councils, sabhas played a key role in local administration. An inscription from Uttaramerur, Tamil Nadu reveals details about the functioning of these councils, including the election of members based on the land ownership and knowledge of Vedas. Land classification and administration. Types of land. Velan Vagai, land owned by non-Brahmana peasants, Brahmadeya, land granted to Brahmanas, Shalabhoga, land for the maintenance of schools, Shalabhoga, Devadana, land donated to temples, land grants and titles. Inscription recorded the land grants and the titles given to the landowners, Brahmanas, often received these land grants contributing to the formation of Brahmana settlements. Life of ordinary people, Pulaya settlement in the Periyar Puranam, a Tamil text, ordinary life in a Pulaya village considered outcasts is described, showing a vibrant agrarian community engaged in daily activity. Social and cultural insights, Brahmanas and local participation. The involvement of Brahmanas in administration and temple life is highlighted with inscription recording their duties and roles in governance. The lives of ordinary men and women are often absent from temple inscription, indicating a focus on the elite in history, recorded history. Scrolling through the uh, the chapter, see there is this map. In this map, you will see the fluctuating frontiers of these tripartite. So this is, you will see Gurjara Pratiharas. Then comes Palas in Bengal region, Rashtrakutas in Western Deccan region, and this is Kannauj. This is Kannauj. This is Palas. This is Rashtrakutas. This is Gurjara Pratiharas in Rajasthan and Gujarat. Chahamanas or Chauhans in Delhi Ajmer region. Then you'll see Chandelas, then Parmars. This is Kalinga, this is Chola, this is Chera. Chera is in Kerala side, and current Kerala side, and Pandya in lower Kanyakumari side. Tamil Nadu. See, we spoke about, I summarized it. We spoke about the emergence of new dynasties, and in the 7th century, these kings actually had subordinates called as they were called themselves as samantas. And now what happens is they were the governors, and when slowly they got powerful, local people they thought like, now I am the king, why should I listen to the king? And they themselves called themselves as Mahasamantas and Mahamandaleshwara, like that. And Rashtrakuta is one of those incident where uh, they were subordinate to Chalukyas of Karnataka, and Danti Durga, a Rashtrakuta chief, overthrew his Chalukya overlord and performed a ritual called Hiranyagarbha, golden womb, with the help of Brahmanas. Now, it was considered then that the rebirth of a sacrificer as a Kshatriya, even if he was not one by birth. So, like that, there are examples in the chapter which focuses on such changes. So, if there is a question which says that all the kingdoms were of Kshatriya, then the answer is no, because we have examples like Rashtrakutas who are Brahmanas. So then these high sounding names, Maharaja, Adhiraja, Tribhuvana Chakravartini, all these kind of titles or prashastis were actually given, they were giving titles to each other, and even if it is right or wrong, but that was the adoptions, the way they were explained or they were introduced. And that is the reason you will realize that the entire, even if they had a small kingdom, they made, or their people or the mantris, they often addressed their king with such names. Okay, again, then there is in the chapter, it is saying there is something which says that 400 taxes. Let me also bring to you this notice that this 400 taxes part in social media also it is being questioned a lot, that it somehow shows Cholas in a very dark side, that they were taxing uh, so much amount, so much kind of taxes. Now, let us understand it from the perspective of, if there is an administrative book like which has written all the names of taxes. So Cholas, wherever, whichever region they in the south they actually ruled over, so they must have created a list. So if the region is in, say, coastal region, coastal region people had different taxation than what people who had near the river. So like that, every person, it was very customized to the particular geography, and because agriculture was not equal at every place. Every peasant did not grow the same amount. Every cattle herder did not go through the similar nature of growth or progress. They had taxes, so every it was so much differentiated. So these taxes were put it as a list. One person was not charged all the 400 taxes. The person who came in whatever bracket, as per his geography, as per his location and caste, and whatever his profession was, they were put on it. But some or other way, you will realize that the way it has come up in this book shows that Cholas were taxing 400 taxes to a single entity or single person. So you need to be very clear, because as part of UPSC preparation, you may be asked such questions where it is trying to compare between Chola's administration to an administration of Pratiharas. So the taxation part becomes the most critical, or something where the opinion needs to have. So if your clarity is there on that, you will have a great perspective. And then we spoke about the prashastis and land grant. So this, as I mentioned, that there are various records which is there, which shows the prashastis and how the land grants were given by the kingdoms. So the chapter focuses on that part. It also highlights on the various warfare which was happening, or fights during that era between whom and whom. You may underline the names and remember them because of the questions which can come as a prelims oriented question. This is really difficult to remember names, but as you do questions, you will realize you can actually, slowly get into your thing. Uh, the chapter also shows about Chola's art and craft, the temples, various irrigation, Chola as a dynasty, and the methodology they followed in the administration. So that would be really good if you can read it and understand it. People from North might find it very difficult to remember the names, but let me be very, very clear over here. In UPSC doesn't differentiate. Now, if there is it's a regional terminology, it's a regional terminology. You need to learn it because it's a part of your administrative studies. So, oh, and most of the time, you will realize that certain words, even people who are will realize that certain words are still existence in use in Tamil language, and it is also easier to relate. So the chapter mostly focuses on that, and with this, my first request is do the MCQs and the run through this chapter. Make your handwritten notes. That will be really, really good. So see you in the next lesson. You have any doubts, any concern about any topic? Let me know. All the details are there. How to connect to me. Best wishes.